shown time and time again with Bam, with Tyler, even with Jimmy Butler, we struggled with that trio. And like Jimmy Butler's no longer here, so there's no blame on Jimmy Butler. But Bam Adebayo has been bad. Again, he's had these stints every single year where he disappears offensively. It affects and impacts his defense as well. So it's not just his offense, but there are times where Tyler's hurt. A lot of times Tyler's hurt, but there's times when Tyler Hero is out, your best offensive player, and we need you to step up in this time. We need you to help carry the load. And he simply regresses. He's not aggressive, takes under 10 field goal attempts, has had a really bad stretch, and keeps always saying, yeah, it's on me. I got to figure this out. Or Coach Spo defends him, basically saying that, like, yeah, we're last year running a 5-out motion offense that's different for Bam. He's shooting threes now. His roles changed this year. The pace and space philosophy, Bam was not accustomed to that. He's more used to the DHO and to the obviously pick and roll. So there's tons of excuses for us to compete, but Pat Riley again won't do it. He will not tank. Eric Spoelstra won't coach it. The organization believes mediocrity with professionalism is better than losing for lottery odds for some reason, which I understand. But honestly, that mindset has worked for them in the past 2 decades or so. Technically, like they're still one of the best organizations, one of the best franchises. Eric Spoelstra, even though he has had rough times, especially last year and sometimes this year as well with his rotations, play calling, substitution pattern, whatever it may be, they still have a system that they've built and a winning culture. And compared to other organizations like the Portland Trailblazers, like the Sacramento Kings, like the Wizards, the Hornets, the Utah Jazz, you name it, this Miami Heat team has been one of the most winningest teams in the last few decades, up there with the Golden State Warriors. We haven't cashed in since LeBron left, and we had our big three back in 2014. So has it fully worked out, honestly, where this team is not kind of had a reset where they went fully young, where they didn't fully completely tank? But I don't know. I don't know what this Miami Heat team could do or should do, but going fully young also doesn't completely make sense with the roster the way it's constructed today, because one, you do have talent. We do have talent. We do have intriguing pieces, obviously, on this roster. Yes, you have Tyler and Bam, who are in their prime. Tyler's 25. Bam's about to be 28, I believe. And they're totally fine, obviously. Like, they need better players around them, obviously. They need a superstar, a number one true alpha next to them. And I would be truly content with keeping Tyler and Bam. Again, Tyler, my biggest issue with him, I love Tyler Hero, but it's one, his defense. We understand that he's not going to be a good defender. He's elevated his offense and playmaking, which has helped. But his injury history, like, he can never stay healthy. So I don't understand. But anyway, there's two players that we have that are our number one and two options. And in my opinion, I think they're both number threes. You can argue that Tyler's a two or Bam's a two, but I think they're both third option on a winning team right now. And so we can't really go fully young, because when we have Bam and Tyler, you're going to compete in the East. Like, they are all-star level type players. And so we can't fully reset with both of them on our roster again. And there's also no generational cornerstone sitting there that screams like, let's build everything around this player for the next 10 years. Kalel looks great. I think he's going to be an all-star, but there's no guarantee of that, honestly. Is he going to be a perennial all-star? Is he going to be a superstar? There's no proof in that pudding yet. And also, we can't just say we're going to fully build around Kalel. He's not ready. Again, he was the 15th pick in the first round. He wasn't a top 3, top 5 lottery pick. And so it's harder to predict what Kalel is going to be, even though I do think he's going to be an all-star. So a full youth movement without a bunch of draft incentives is also not great. We only have 2 tradable picks in the future, I guess, but we do have some picks that we can. I think we have our pick for next year. Or actually, no, we don't have our pick for next year, because that goes to the Charlotte Hornets, unless the Terry Rozier whatever investigation allows us to get our pick back, but I doubt that's going to happen. So we'll see. But yeah, we don't have a clear superstar prospect as of right now. Like, the only option would be a Giannis, and I lean that direction. I don't think we should go fully young, obviously, or fully blow it up at this point. So the Heat are always in the superstar business. They're always trying to win a championship, and they're always looking to add someone. And the name that keeps circling right now is Giannis, obviously the Greek freak. But here's the issue: Giannis has not demanded a trade yet. There's no guarantee he ever will. And until that moment comes, everything is just speculation. And Miami can't build its entire future or hopes around a maybe. And we've seen this movie play out before with Damian Lillard, with Kevin Durant, with whoever. Miami is always a preferred destination. They're always lurking. They're always monitoring the situation. They're always named as a team that a player would want to go to, and then nothing happens. So while swinging for a superstar is the correct philosophy for this Miami Heat team, it's also the hardest path. It's the least controllable. Like, unless you're the freaking Lakers, like, how often does a team get a new superstar? Honestly, like, it's very difficult to obtain superstars, MVP caliber type players, unless you're the freaking Lakers, who get the LeBron Jameses, the Anthony Davises, the Luka Doncic's, whoever. It's really tough to get a top tier player, and the Miami Heat just don't have that track record, especially of late, of adding these superstars. So if we have a chance to get a superstar, if for some reason Edwards, Joker, whoever, Giannis is available, you push all your chips in and you go for that. I think, again, because again, we can't go fully young with the prospects of Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo on this team right now. We're still going to be competing in the East like we are right now. Yes, again, we are 16 and 15 in the East, but we are literally like 4.5 games from the third seed. And so this team, might have the pieces now to finally get a superstar, I think, but it's still going to be a tough option. And another option the Miami Heat can think of is, do we add role players or some other, maybe not superstar or former stars, the John Morants, the Zions, if available, or just 3-and-D wing players, the Cam Johnsons of the world, the Bruce Browns of the world, like whoever that may be available, the Cam Thomases, oh God. But adding role players at the deadline, is that something that the Miami Heat can do as middle ground? Can the Heat add high-level role players before the trade deadline? Maybe, but here's the uncomfortable truth. Most realistic trade targets don't change this Miami Heat team ceiling. Most of these guys are not going to be good enough to change the trajectory of the Miami Heat's season. It's the way the roster is constructed. So you might improve your shooting. You might add some size. You might add some help on the bench in terms of scoring and defense. But does that turn the Miami Heat into a true title contender? Probably not. You're fixing the symptoms, not the root cause of the problem. And that's how you end up just being a tough competitive team in the East who makes it to the playoffs and who gets swept in the first round by the Cavaliers, or a team that can maybe win the first round depending on matchup and lose in the second round instead of being a real threat in the East. So that's going to be the biggest issue, is whatever direction we pick, it's not going to be smooth sailing or easy unless we get like a Giannis or an Anthony Edwards, which again, I don't think is possible. This Miami Heat team has been linked to these guys so many times in the past and nothing has happened. So the big elephant in the room, I think, now is, do we trade Bam Adebayo or Tyler Herro? This is the part that fans don't like to talk about, or the ones that do, because these are our two most polarizing players on our roster. Tyler stands hate Bam Adebayo for some reason. Bam stands hate Tyler for some reason. Like, I don't understand why you can't like both players or root for your team and enjoy the players that you have to a certain degree. But these are our most polarizing players. And I've seen guys say trade Bum Adebayo. People hate Tyler Herro and think he's worthless. And so at some point, Miami has to ask itself, is this core good enough to win a championship? Is Bam and Tyler good enough to be your top two? The answer is no. We saw that last year when Jimmy was gone. Yes, there was the whole distraction of that, adding new pieces at the trade deadline, getting Wiggins and whoever, Davion Mitchell, the Terry Rozier debacle, which we're still dealing with, injuries, guys in and out of the rotation, sure. But still, I don't think they are good enough. We saw that last year. We're seeing that this year. We're seeing that because it's not just about their play when they're healthy, but their injury history, both are hurt right now. And that's one big issue, maybe the chemistry, but just they're not good enough as your number 1 and 2 option to win a championship. That's why I think you add Giannis to this team and keep Tyler and Bam. If you could somehow trade Jovic, Jaime, Cass, Kalel, and Norman or Wiggins, whoever, trade everybody and you keep Tyler, Bam, and Giannis, I would love that. That would be intriguing right there because then Bam could be the defensive anchor. He can get the rebounds. Giannis is going to be your dominant paint player, obviously, and your force. And then you have Tyler Herro, who's going to be your playmaking guard, who's going to be able to spread the floor, hit the three ball, get to the rim. Obviously, you leverage that floater game. I would love that right now. But excuse me, what do we do with Bam and Tyler? Do we trade Bam? Do we trade Tyler? Or do we somehow trade both? Again, not because they're bad players, not because they can't technically help you win games, but because they might be your best path to a real reset, to a true superstar, or for a true superstar, or just for allowing this team to go even younger and actually develop and lose. But again, the Miami Heat can't do that. They're not going to do that. But the Miami Heat can't keep thinking we are one move away. We are one player away while refusing to touch the pieces that actually have value. Because again, if Giannis does request a trade, if I'm the Bucks, I'm asking for Bam. And honestly, the way Bam's been playing, I love Bam. He's my favorite player on the Heat. You trade him no matter what for Giannis. He's only 3 years younger than Giannis. Giannis is still in his absolute prime. Yes, he's been dealing with the injury bug the last few seasons, but he hasn't had injuries which knocked him out for entire years. But Giannis is still MVP caliber type guy, averaging 28 points, like 12 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, a steal. He is someone that changes your franchise overnight. So do you think about trading Bam for a superstar? Yes. If it's that type of superstar, yes, it depends. But yes, do you trade Tyler Herro to get a Giannis type player? Of course you do. Do you trade Tyler Herro to get John Morant or Zion? No, definitely not. Because I don't think those guys are necessarily better than Tyler Herro. Those guys are just as injury prone, and those guys have bad attitudes. Tyler Herro has the work ethic at least and wants to be healthy and wants to win and wants to improve and has a good mindset. Like Zion is just cooked. John Morant is a head case. So I wouldn't trade Tyler for those guys, but for any other superstar type player, then I would definitely trade a Bam or Tyler. So should we trade both of them? Honestly, probably not. But if this Miami Heat team continues to stay in as a play-in team year after year after year, this would be the 4th consecutive year that the Miami Heat would be in the play-in if the season ended today. And we already know they own the Hawks and the Bulls in the play-in. So we are the play-in champions of late, obviously. But if that's the path we're going to continue to go down and stay in the middle, be mediocre, then you have to explore trading one of Tyler or Bam and get 6, 7, 8 draft picks for them. And then that's your full reset.